putting me under immense pressure as Leclerc has completely fallen away. He must have been under pressure from other drivers. But oh my word, Alonso's round! Alonso is round, and it's a massive blockage on the track. Hello, guys! Turbocharged 51 over here! I hope you're having a splendid day wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Turbo Fox Racers, and welcome back to episode 2 of F1 24 career mode. Now guys, apologies for the long-awaited second episode. It's just been a hectic week and a half, but here we are. And guys, again, I'm going to reiterate, I am so excited for F1 24 career mode, like you guys have no idea. I try to make time where I can to get this going. So if you're excited as I am, make sure to drop a like down below. And while you're down there, go check out the links in the description down below. And today we are in for a long episode. Reason being, we are having our first sprint race weekend of the season. So it's one practice session, sprint quali, sprint race, qualifying, main race. It's going to be a busy weekend, so we've got a lot to get into, so let's jump straight into it. So in this episode, obviously you guys know by now we are in the Vita Cash App RB, and aero on this car is not the best. It also really has a bad chassis. Engine-wise, the thing is it's a good combined package, but it's not a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Decent chassis, crap aero, crappy engine, and we need to get all that up there because I think a good target for us by the end of the season would be to beat Aston Martin in the developmental race. Oh my word, my English is terrible. Just for your guys' info, I'm recording this very late at night, so apologies. But we're gonna get into this. So obviously, you guys, this is one thing about the career mode that I fell in love with immediately. These mid-race goals, and then in this screen, you have weekend goals. So you don't just have mid-race goals that you need to try and achieve. You've got these weekend set goals. And unlike in episode 1 where we only had one person trying to give us a goal, we've now got 4. So properly getting into F1, everybody's like, okay, you're in F1 now. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Let's go, little rookie. So we're going to aim to please the critics in this second race. We are heading towards China. And guys, I am so glad to have this track back in career mode. This is one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. Like, probably a top 5 favorite track. I just love racing around China. I feel it's an extremely nice flowing track, and more than that, it is probably the most underrated track on the entire F1 calendar. Exceptional racetrack. So it feels good to go back to China. Now, as you guys can see here, we've got the strategist one was an interesting one. I'm really putting pressure on myself here to earn 5 championship points throughout the race weekend. But the reason I decided on that one is because we've got a sprint race weekend, I can score points in the sprint, hopefully, as well as in the main race, and that'll get me to 5. So that is what the hope is.
All the new parts have been fabricated, and we're going to have them with us for the next Grand Prix.
Amazing news. Thank you very much. So we've got a few upgrades on the car. Yuki is also bringing some upgrades to the car, so we are looking good so far. And actually, there's me and Yuki's weekly resources. I'm surprised that we earn almost as much as Yuki. I really thought that it was going to be a bigger gap, but I think another tiny goal on the side is to try and by the end of the season earn more developmental points, well, R&D points than Yuki. Because currently we are really pushing upgrades on this car, trying to get this car to stay the best of the rest, behind the top 5 teams. And with Aston Martin and Mercedes' current developmental path, they are really going for broke. Like, they just want to be the fastest and best car possible. And here you guys can see, here's the sprint weekend tire allocation. Now, this race was recorded before the latest patch, where the AI, use softs in first and second sprint quali. But that is now fixed. So for the next sprint race, you guys will see on the channel, it'll be medium for SQ1, medium for SQ2, and a soft for SQ3. But looking at the performance charts heading into this wonderful Chinese Grand Prix weekend, we are still the best of the rest, but Ferrari has fallen a bit from grace. Red Bull still lead the way from McLaren, with Aston now being the third fastest, jumping from fifth to third. Mercedes stays P4, even though they've also brought upgrades, and Ferrari haven't brought a single upgrade to this race weekend. So it's the exact same car that was racing in Bahrain. So they fall to fifth. We are still in a solid midfield sixth position, and then Haas, Williams, Alpine, and Kick Sauber are just like scrambling, fighting with one another to also try and get to us. But currently, the biggest threat, I would say, is definitely the Alpines. And you guys can see I'm pushing the aerodynamics a lot. Like, aero is one thing about this car that I really want to get sorted. Because the chassis is decent, I want to focus on the aero for the first part of the season, and then later on into the season, when we get to the high-speed tracks like Spa and Monza and Baku, I really want to try and get those engine upgrades in. But it's time for sprint quali.
Now here's something we haven't said for a little while. Welcome along to qualifying in China. After a few years' absence from the calendar, it is great to be back here. But just who is going to put their car on pole?
And as you guys can see, end of SQ1, obviously the sessions are shortened, and currently this RB has got the pace to always be in Q2. So I skipped through Q1, and as you guys could see there, we were P2 behind Verstappen, and we actually stuck to the rules. So for sprint qualifying, I'm sticking to the rules. I'm going to use the mediums in SQ1 and SQ2. In the beginning of SQ2, I used the scrubbed set of mediums that I used to set my fastest lap in SQ1, and now this is on the fresh set of mediums. Coming towards the end of the lap, we're up by half a second. We are currently in the top 10, but just to be safe, across the line, and we go top of SQ2, beating out Leclerc by 2/10 to take pole. And guys, one thing again, I mentioned it in episode 1, the AI, I have now determined, I can still be wrong, but I don't think I am, the AI has to be bugged for qualifying, because their race pace is insane, but their quali pace is kind of terrible, because this car should be struggling to get into the top 10 and not be getting pole positions. So until that is fixed within a patch or something, we're just going to flow with it and just, you know, let's just say we're outperforming the car, even though we're not really. But I've seen it on a few other channels as well. The AI is definitely bugged in qualifying. They're supposed to be stronger. And I'm going to prove to you guys in this video that I'm running even higher AI than I ran on F123. I'm currently sitting on 105 AI, and on the previous game, the max I went to was 104. I couldn't keep up with the AI after anything above 104. And it's the second race of the career mode, and I'm already on 105. I did the F2, I think, on 95. The first race on 100 AI, and I was like, this is a little bit too easy, especially in quali format. So I bumped it up to 105. And the car is still damn quick, unless we've just got an absolute one-lap animal in the RB. But I highly doubt that is the case. In any case, here you guys can see on board of our final lap in sprint qualifying in SQ3. The timer is like, I think it's 8 minutes. So I just stayed up to the end, strapped on my never yet used softs. And here we go, round the final corner, open up DRS, and we are in P! Pole, guys, AI is bugged, man. This doesn't feel like a pole position, even though we beat Lando by only 600ths of a second. But it's pole position for sprint qualifying. I'm going to take it. So if we can secure like 6th to 8th, that's very close to our goal. And here you guys can see 105 AI, 105, and the goal I'm speaking about is those 5 championship points.
Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend. Shanghai International Circuit, then, is a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests a driver's patience. And the flat, open to the elements location, test their skill in a crosswind. 2 DRS zones will assist passing, and they're available into turn 1 and down the kilometre-long back straight into turn 14. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. O'Connor lines up on pole position. Edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Leclerc, Perez, Hamilton, Stroll, Russell, Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Tsunoda, Ocon, Joe, Magnussen, Sargent, Bottas, Gasly, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out. And alongside me today, a man small in stature but big on comment, Anthony Davidson. Hello. Well, they say that a change is as good as a rest, and whilst there's not much rest on show in the sprint format today, there's definitely a change to what we're usually seeing on the track. I don't want to, but we should look at their recent performances, and I think poor is a universal word to describe them.
It's hard to say sometimes, and it's hard to accept yourself as well. It's easy to go blaming other circumstances as to why your driver rating might have slipped, but it's time for a reset. You got to get back to where you were. You know you can do it. You've proven it in the past. So now it's time to make that happen.
I haven't proven anything in the past except the pole position and 2 points scored in Bahrain, but I get where the commentators are going with this. Guys, we're going to do what everybody else is doing, still learning the game. I was thinking of the hards, but I was just like, everybody's on mediums. We're going to stick with the mediums and see where it takes us. Let's just play it safe because we're in a very strong position.
The formation lap gets underway ahead of today's sprint. It's going to be interesting to see who gets pole position. We're almost ready to start the sprint as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
Final preparations are in order, and guys, I was honestly, I literally, as this formation lap finished, I was just going into ultra defense mode. You guys know, for those of you guys that are OGs of the channel know, I'm a better defender than attacker. My defense is better than my offense when it comes to racing. I don't know why, I always just defend very well. So we're going to try and use every little drop of that here today, because we've got nothing to lose. So, as we now head to 5 red lights, and it's go, go, go for the first sprint race on F1 24. You guys see, we actually get a brilliant pull away from the line. Lando Norris bogs intensively, and Verstappen is into P2 with the 2 Aston Martins going side by side with a Ferrari. A 3-wide moment there, but Stroll gets shuffled down, as I think it's Leclerc and Alonso side by side through turn 2. Here we go, down this next little straight with the kink in the middle. Verstappen is right behind me. He's already swooping side to side to see if he can get a move here. We defend the inside. Verstappen tries around the outside, as Alonso and Leclerc are still side by side. We keep the lead for now from Max Verstappen. Alonso and Leclerc, it's a half a lap now that they are side by side with one another. Heading into the S's, and through the S's, Alonso has got the inside for this next part. A little bit of bump and rub there between Alonso and Leclerc, but nothing major. No damage dealt to any of the 2 cars. Through the next part, the double left-hander. Leclerc seems to have gotten ahead of Alonso, as we are still under massive pressure from Verstappen. And once again, guys, as soon as the helmet, the visor went down, I just completely went into, I don't care if it's my senior team, I'm just going to race to see how good I can do. So as we get onto the back straight, it's myself leading from Verstappen, Leclerc, Perez, Alonso, Stroll, Norris, Hamilton, Russell, and Carlos Sainz. But Verstappen is trying to make a quick change here for the lead, but I saved up my overtake on my ERS to the best possible point so that I could stay ahead and at least lead one lap for this season so far. We lost the lead not even heading into turn 1 back at Bahrain, and here in China we made a better start and we lead for one lap. Let's see how many laps this season we can round up. Not that I think it's going to be many. I think that has to wait for a later season, but you guys can see we are still just all over the road to try and defend from Verstappen, as this Red Bull is silly fast, and we are now basically holding up the entire top 11. It seems like Piastri is maybe might be breaking away from Yuki Tsunoda, my teammate who fell out in SQ2 and is going to try and get into these sprint race points. Verstappen again to the inside of the hairpin, but as we head into the air section, I've got the inside and I just place my car perfectly so that Max cannot hang it around the outside. But now Leclerc, Perez and Alonso will be joining this fight. Alonso's a little bit behind, but by the amount that I'm holding these guys up, it's not going to be long for Alonso to get within that 1 second, and he's bringing Stroll, Norris, Hamilton, Russell and Sainz with him. Here we go into this next section. Verstappen is literally sniffing the rear end of this RB, and I think Verstappen is trying to pull out his hair through the top of his helmet, because it must be so frustrating sitting behind a car like this, a car that's supposed to be your junior team, and nothing you can do currently is working to get past him. You guys can see I only activate my overtake when we go over the DRS line, but Leclerc's going to try and make it 3 wide. We have to be very late on the brakes, and we slightly go off track. Verstappen, Leclerc on our inside, but will we try and go for a little bit of a dive here up the inside? We do try though, and we unsettle Leclerc and Verstappen. Verstappen goes a little bit wide, no contact made there, but now all of a sudden it's a jumble for the lead. 2 Red Bulls, a Ferrari, Aston Martin and an RB fighting here. 3 wide between Perez, Leclerc and Verstappen heading into turn 1 as Alonso backs out. There's contact between the 2 Red Bulls as Perez gets shoved wide and Leclerc is trying to get ahead of Verstappen. He had the inside there but was forced to the outside for turn 2 as the track progresses. Max stays in P2, Leclerc stays in P3, Perez, I can't believe everybody actually kept position there. How did everybody keep position there and nobody crashed? But I mean, Alonso is still trying to get something done here on Perez, and Alonso, the Spaniard, is looking very racy. The veteran currently in Formula 1 alongside Lewis Hamilton is looking racy as ever, but he's bringing his teammate Lance Stroll along for the ride. Still, again, another half a lap of side-by-side action, with Alonso being one of the 2 people within that fight. Perez trying to stay ahead of the Aston Martin, but he's trying, but there's not much he can do, as Alonso again is fighting with every fiber of his being. But the Red Bull is just a superior car, and it can be placed in places that makes it uncomfortable for Alonso. But coming out of the banked hairpin onto the back straight, Alonso gets ahead of Perez, but he will now be vulnerable to DRS, as Verstappen and Leclerc once again are trying to get past my RB. I decide to stick to the outside so that I can have a better exit coming out of the hairpin, but Verstappen is getting a bit punchy here, as he's like getting so close to me that you can't even put a piece of paper between our cars. But there we go, we force Max towards the outside to run a bit wide, and it's going to make it easy for Charles Leclerc to get ahead of Verstappen. And even though at the beginning of the episode this Ferrari has gone down to 5th in the developmental battle, it is still a stupidly quick car. Leclerc is making better work than Verstappen on the back straight, but he's bringing Verstappen with him still, and we just need to try and defend. It's been 4 laps of nothing but defense. Will we do to Leclerc what we did to Verstappen? I think we are going to be forced to do so, because if I can keep defending like this, only 10 laps, and we can maybe even win a sprint race here today. Here comes Alonso from behind on Leclerc, as he's the only one without DRS here. Alonso sweeps to the inside, and will these 2 have another half a lap of side-by-side action? I'm sure Leclerc does not want that. He goes for a very wide line through 1 into 2, very tight inside line, and it's a beautiful line from Leclerc, as we are now once again under pressure from Verstappen, who by now must be screaming over the radio for the team to try and get me out of their way. But my radio said absolutely nothing. Mark was silent. Mark was just like, you do you, boo. You do you. This is a potential sprint win for us here in the RB. Alonso, what a move up the inside on Leclerc, as Perez and Stroll are still lurking in the background. But Alonso is trying everything to get into this battle with myself and Verstappen. And he is giving it his absolute everything. And you can't forget about the two Mercs, the two McLarens, and the remaining Ferrari of Sainz coming from behind. And even my teammate has managed to keep up with this pack. We now jump towards the end of lap 6, as it's myself defending from Verstappen, with Alonso following very close behind. Verstappen pulls to the inside here. We're going to be forced to the outside, but we can take the corner in a sweeping action. Oh my goodness gracious me. How did me and Verstappen not make contact there? That was absolutely insane. Side by side, absolute millimeters separating myself and my senior world championship, you can say, teammate, basically. He's not completely my teammate, but we're all in the Red Bull family. Towards the inside of this next corner, we force Max to the outside, which opens the door once again for Alonso, but he doesn't have the traction coming out of the hairpin to mount a fight to Verstappen. But Alonso seems to be playing it cool now. He seems to be just biding his time. He can see that he's got a very quick sprint car, and it seems like just like back on F1 23, the lower the... Oh my goodness, wait, we'll talk about that now. On the mid-lap 7, Max Verstappen's V6 hybrid goes up in smoke, and Verstappen is out of the sprint race. Luckily for Verstappen, there's still another quali session for the main race, but I'm sure Max Verstappen is not going to appreciate that whatsoever. We now go to lap 9, and this is the opportunity that Fernando Alonso has been waiting for, my hero, and the other Red Bull of Sergio Perez putting me under immense pressure, as Leclerc has completely fallen away. He must have been under pressure from other drivers, but oh my word, Alonso is round! Alonso is round, and it's a massive blockage on the track. Perez is, I don't know why Perez is just standing there. Why is he not moving? Alonso reverses, and here finally Perez sees that he can go. But there goes Tsunoda and Albon! No, you can't. You have to be kidding me. Tsunoda slots into P2. It's a Visa Cash App RB 1-2 here in the sprint, with the Williams of Alex Albon following in P3. Guys, what actually just happened? Did Alonso just punch the throttle through the corner? And yes, you can hear Alonso just punches the throttle. It actually spins me around, and oh, that's why Perez stopped, because I flicked the car around just to keep going, because I realized everybody's blocked. This is still a win, and now I'm not gonna be under pressure. Oh my word, Perez actually wanted to get in on this fight, and he actually backs out a little bit earlier, and I think that's what unsettled Alonso. I think that is why Alonso got unsettled, and as Perez wanted to go, I just flick spin the car. Didn't even think of Perez in the moment, just tried to, but oh my word, he takes an absolute age to get going, and he's just like swinging at the steering wheel, probably wanting to feel if the car's got any, if there's something wrong with the car. But Albon and Tsunoda are just like, well, there's a door that's open, let's get it. And all that madness of the sprint, everything just was done, and by the end of the sprint, we're actually gonna take a win!
Yes, guys, yes! Come on, boys! Okay, good job, mate. Really, really well done. That was a fantastic drive. Bring it home.
Guys, we just won a sprint race in our second ever Grand Prix. And it's a 1-2 for Visa Cash App RB. We've already achieved our 5-point goal for the weekend, so we can put that now in the bin and just focus on the rest of the race weekend. But did this seriously just happen? What did Alonso do, man?
Now here's something we haven't said for a little while. Welcome along to qualifying in China. After a few years' absence from the calendar, it is great to be back here. But just who is going to put their car on pole?
Guys, I understand we're into full qualifying now, but I am still flabbergasted by what happened at the end of that sprint. But we have to put that behind us now. And Yuki, what? The height of the sprint race, and you fall out in Q1 while we are firmly through. Tsunoda, what happened there, my guy? Guys, Yuki's out. So we've already beat him in sprint quali and the sprint race, and now we're going to beat him in qualifying as well. So we're starting off this season pretty viciously against Yuki. And now heading towards the end of Q2, you guys can see obviously scrubbed set of softs were used for the start of Q2. On our new set, We absolutely fly through the final corner. It's a 1.4 second improvement, and we jump up to P2, 100th behind Verstappen. Out in Q2 is Stroll, Ocon, Magnussen, Gasly, and if I'm not mistaken, Esteban Ocon. No, sorry. Stroll, Ocon, Magnussen, Gasly. I'm actually not sure who's the other car that's out, but it doesn't really matter. Because we are once again, it's the Sauber of Zhou who actually made it through to Q2, and he bumped down Yuki. So well done to Zhou at his home Grand Prix, the Chinese driver trying to make the best of a bad situation in that very crappy kick Sauber. But guys, now towards the end of our first lap in Q1, or in Q3, we come across the line again, scrubbed set of softs, the same softs we used for the end of Q2, and that by the end of, when we come towards the end of the session, we are only 10th position, but now we've got a brand spanking new set of soft tires. And guys, again, we're on board. Just enjoy this lap. Guys, while this lap's going, I just quickly want to talk about what happened in the sprint, because everything is happening so quickly because we've got so much to get through. Alonso bottled a potential sprint race win and absolutely screwed everybody who got stuck behind him. Perez, the Ferraris, the McLarens, the Red Bull, the Mercedes. I mean, that was a big doo-doo from Alonso, and I think Perez was really thrown off by the fact that we just flick spun it back into the right direction and just kept going. And but the fact that Yuki got P2 and we had a Williams in P3 in the form of Alex Albon, that was just such a weird thing to happen. But I loved every damn second of that. Defending so aggressively but fairly and constantly being under pressure, those 10 laps felt like 100. I'm going to be honest with you guys, because whoever was behind me was sniffing the gearbox oil of this RB. But now towards the final hairpin at the end of the back straight for the end of our Q3 run. We're already 1.2 seconds up on our previous personal best. I do not know what the gap is to pole position, but here we go. Broken eye in mind, across the line, and it's P1. Guys, I'm sorry. This does not feel like legitimate pole positions because it's clear the AI is bugged. I can't see how it's not any more clear. The AI is bugged, and it's us ahead of both the Red Bulls.
The Chinese Grand Prix, then, is upon us once again. It's a race that saw Michael Schumacher claim his final Formula One victory in 2006, as well as Red Bull's first win with Sebastian Vettel in 2009. There's no doubt there's plenty more drama to come here in Shanghai. Shanghai International Circuit, then, is a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests a driver's patience, and the flat, open to the elements location, test their skill in a crosswind. 2 DRS zones will assist passing, and they're available into turn 1 and down the kilometre-long back straight into turn 14. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. O'Connor lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Russell, Norris, Sainz, Hamilton, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Ocon, Magnussen, Gasly, Zhou, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Albon and Logan Sargent. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And alongside me in the commentary box today, a man who I always look up to, which is easier said than done, Anthony Davidson. I don't want to, but we should look at their recent performances, and I think poor is a universal word to describe them.
Yeah, it's hard to say sometimes, and it's hard to accept yourself as well. It's easy to go blaming other circumstances as to why your driver rating might have slipped, but it's time for a reset. You got to get back to where you were. You know you can do it. You've proven it in the past. So now it's time to make that happen.
And try to happen we will, because after the highs of this weekend so far, I think in this virtual world, there's massive pressure on our little rookie shoulders. Guys, we're going for a very controversial strategy, like back in F1 2019, 2020 days. We're going for a 4-lap stint on softs.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out. So as all the cars take their positions on the grid, the teams will be hoping their strategies pay off for them in today's race. But the question I'm asking is which teams have got it right and which ones have got it horribly wrong?
Guys, what I was busy saying was going for a 4-lap quick stint on softs, getting onto the hards, going a little bit of distance, and then ending on the mediums. The tire wear here is so incredibly high, I don't see anybody doing anything but a 2-stop. I might be mistaken because it's the start of the race, but I have to go for broke. We're on pole position, we've got nothing to lose. Most of our goals are already achieved. It's now about trying to secure the most amount of points, and it's what we've been waiting for. 5 red lights, and it's go, go, go for the Chinese Grand Prix. Massive amount of wheel spin for us off the line, and that opens the door for Sergio Perez. And very quickly I realized these softs might have been a mistake, but it's just 4 laps, and the little grip advantage that we will have is what will make a difference come the end of the race, because we're also going to go into a massive undercut section because the way around China is horrible. But Perez gets into the lead as once again Max Verstappen is looking at the same rear wing that he looked at for most of the sprint race before his engine went boom. In any case, let's get into this. We see the McLaren and the Mercedes of Russell and Lando Norris going side by side. Actually, sorry, it's an Oscar Piastri. I actually can't make out the helmet from these quick shots, but it is Lando Norris and Russell side by side. Piastri is behind the other Mercedes of Hamilton and the Ferrari of Sainz. Here we go through this next section. It's still side by side for the 2 Mercedes powered cars as we are defending very harshly from Verstappen here. A little bit of a bump and rub there heading into this next section. You guys could see there was a little bit of contact there. I love the contact animation on F124. It makes it look so much more dramatic, and then you just touched. Oh my goodness gracious me. Verstappen led off the throttle going through the banked corner, and Russell just ran into the back of Verstappen, breaking his front wing. That is going to throw Russell's race completely on its head. What can the young Brit do now? Let's wait and see. As the McLaren locks up in the background and opens the door for Lewis Hamilton and maybe even the Ferrari. But Perez leads your way from us, Verstappen. Russell dives into the pit lane it was Piastri. I was not mistaken. It is Piastri. Piastri P4, Sainz P5, Hamilton P6, Alonso P7, Norris P8, Leclerc P9, and Stroll P10. But we're just defending from Verstappen. And already, Perez is 2.6 seconds ahead, guys. And here's a quick replay of what happened to George Russell in this moment. You guys can see, and this was not me pushing Max wide. My left side of the car, the tire wear was so high because this was a set of tires that I used in one of the quali sessions, probably Q1. I had no grip on the left-hand side, and the car just washed wide with understeer, and unfortunately Max was kind of in the way of my understeer whitewash. So that was not on purpose, but now it has screwed Russell. But it doesn't seem like Verstappen has got rear wing or rear diffuser damage, as again the young Oscar Piastri, just like back at Bahrain, is fighting fiercely to get onto this podium. And again, guys, the 2 Aston Martins looked so fast in the beginning of this race. I know they're not battling with us, but those 2 British Racing Green Aston Martins clearly had phenomenal pace around Shanghai. And we had to be so careful. And the thing is, if I knew that, the AI definitely knew that. And I think Piastri just wanted to get ahead of Verstappen, but now he's fallen behind Sainz, because he's just trying to get ahead of this group to try and break away, because Alonso and maybe even Lance Stroll is a threat here. We are now on to lap 4, and you guys see it to the inside. I just don't have the grip on the left-hand side, and Verstappen finally makes the move that he's been wanting to make all weekend, and he's ahead. But now there's a 9-second gap to his teammate Sergio Perez. We are still on the podium, but this is the lap that we are boxing, because I'm so glad that I set it to 4 laps, because the tire wear was chronic. It was honestly chronic, and all I wanted to do was stay ahead of Sainz for this little next section, and on the straight I was happy to let him go, because now my race is going to change. Sorry guys, I spoke over Mark there. I tried to keep quiet in time, but I was late. But you guys can see onto the back straight, for lap 4. You guys can see I'm just pulling to the inside, not really using ERS, and these guys just can't seem to get past me as I am running a reasonably low downforce setup. I keep to the inside and defend the position because they kind of force me to, but now we're going to bail into the pit lane as Hamilton, Sainz and Piastri go 3 wide into the final corner. That has to be an incredible sight to see. I missed my braking point a slight bit heading into the pit lane, but now we're going to fall to last place on the freshest tires on the grid, and as soon as they're up to temperature, we're going to throw the kitchen sink at it and push these hard tires as far as we possibly can.
We had an issue attaching the front right wheel. I know it's not ideal, but let's try and put that behind us and get back into this race.
Mark, that's the last damn thing that I needed. I wanted to be closer to Russell.
Okay, 1 stop to go, just 1 stop left in this strategy.
Oh, guys, obviously I know that's not Mark's fault, that's the pit crew's fault, but I didn't want 3 seconds to Russell, and that cost me exactly 3 seconds. I wanted to get into Russell's slipstream, get into his DRS, overtake him, and push towards the back of the pack. Because if I can catch the back of the pack by the times these guys start pitting from their mediums and their hards, I'm going to be in a big playing field. But I'm not trying to race the Red Bulls or any of the top 8. If I can get another P9, I will be happy. If we can just beat, if we can beat 2 of these front runners, whether it's a McLaren and a Ferrari or both of the Mercedes or whatever the case may be, I just want to get points. We've got more points than we already need thanks to the sprint, but you can never aim for an unknown amount. You have to aim as high as possible and push for it. As Alonso and his younger countrymen are fighting hammer and fist here for P3 because they are fighting for a podium position here. The guy who gets ahead and breaks away can try and go with the Red Bulls to secure the podium. I don't think Verstappen is catching Perez. I don't see Max. Oh my word, what a mistake from Lewis Hamilton. He just opens the door for Oscar Piastri with a massive lockup, just like Russell had back at turn 4 in Bahrain the previous round. It seems to be the front end of this Mercedes is not very happy when it comes to breaking into slow corners, because it's not just Russell, now it's Hamilton as well, and we all know how highly rated Hamilton is in this career mode. Sainz, though, is not letting this podium go without a fight, and Leclerc is coming with them. And after Leclerc just fell away in the sprint, I wonder if he maybe had a car problem, because all of a sudden Leclerc was just nowhere. I don't even think Leclerc got points in the sprint, to be deadly honest. I honestly can't remember, but I don't think he did, because he just honestly fell away completely. Alonso stays ahead of the 2 Ferraris, but we now jump to the start of lap 8. But Alonso just can't seem to break away. The DRS is so powerful on this track with the 2 DRS zones that there are, that if you're within 1 second, you seem to stay there. And Alonso does exactly to Sainz what the 2 Ferraris have been doing to him. So nobody seems to be breaking away, and I think the only way this fight's going to end is whoever blinks first and pits first. And Alonso does not seem to be that driver now, because he's on hards while the 2 Ferraris are running the medium. So they will be in a few laps before Alonso. And now towards lap 12, towards lap 11, Sainz just goes for an absolute crazy dive up the inside of Alonso, trying to use the better grip on those mediums. And we are just at the back trying to chase down Russell. You guys saw the gap was 3.3. We've got it down to 2 seconds. And by the end of lap 11, it's down to 1.3. Russell's tires seems to be falling off a cliff, while our tires are still in perfect nick. But that is not what we're looking at right now. We're looking at this insane battle between the veteran Spaniard and the younger, still very, very talented Spaniard. And as we come towards the end of lap 12, you guys can see we've caught up to the back of a damn Mercedes. In an RB, we've caught a Mercedes on pure pace. And guys, this felt absolutely amazing. You guys can see we just have a ton of grip compared to George Russell as we sweep around the outside of turn 1. Little bit of a tank slapper heading into 2. No contact made between myself and Russell, luckily. But that is us now up and into P19. And guys, if I can go with Russell, which is a top 5 car, it means we've got incredible pace for the remainder of this race. Because I'm not going to lie to you guys, at this stage of the race, I thought I messed up badly. We're not getting points. We're not even sniffing top 15. And then I realized we are catching these cars in front, hand over fist, myself and Russell. And now me and him can play the DRS train game. 1 lap I'm ahead, 1 lap he's ahead. 1 lap I'm ahead, 1 lap he's ahead. And just keep playing the DRS game to pull each other to the front, because it doesn't seem we're losing time behind if either one is behind the other. We are gaining, and here is the time that we have been waiting for. Leclerc is in, off of his mediums onto the hards. He's going to try to take those hards 14 laps. These guys attempting a one-stop, kudos to you, but I do not have the confidence to go for a one-stop strategy in this race. The tire wear is so incredibly bad, and I think chassis-wise, we might need to switch a little bit of our focus towards aero, towards chassis, because tire wear upgrades might come in clutch at some tracks on this for the rest of the calendar, because I know there's some tracks coming up, as there's a piece of random front wing flying there. I don't know whose front wing is that. Is it Carlos Sainz's front wing? You've got to be kidding me, man. He has been yes, it is Sainz's front wing, and he boxes. Will Ferrari actually replace his front wing? As him and Stroll were in a very deep battle there, Alonso actually managed to break away, and he is now sitting pretty in P3. So there's still big potential here for Fernando. So Sainz is off of the mediums onto the hards, but Ferrari are doing a Ferrari, making a mistake and not even replacing his front wing. Sainz is officially out of the podium battle, as now we look at Verstappen, as Red Bull are trying to prioritize Max because he's only slowly catching Perez. Perez is happy chappy in the lead. But here we go, Alonso is in with Verstappen, trying to cover off the Ferraris coming from behind us, I think, as well as the Mercedes of Hamilton. Don't throw Hamilton away, he's still in this fight. The McLaren of Lando Norris is in. There's a few cars boxing. You guys can see myself and Russell still just playing the DRS game. Swapping every lap, pulling each other along, and trying to cost each other as little time as possible. As again, into turn 1, we sweep ahead of Russell. Don't cost him time. Don't cost myself time. And guys, look how close I am to Verstappen. When I pitted, Max was already 6 seconds up the road, if I'm not mistaken. We are right on his gearbox. That shows the power of the undercut. So at this stage of the race, we are sitting in net P3, but we still have a pit stop remaining, and we are going to be stupid levels of fast on that final stint. We now go towards the start of lap 17. You guys can see Perez still leading the way from Verstappen, but because Verstappen went for the undercut, he's closed up that gap massively. So we might even still have a battle here for the win here at China between the two Red Bull teammates, unless team orders play an effect. But it's so early in the season, I doubt that. And you guys can see here, we were quickly there on board with Hamilton, and he also has front wing damage. So it seems like everything is starting to work out for us, as I'm finally starting to struggle on my tires. But Hamilton's got wing damage, Sainz has got wing damage, Norris and Piastri are stuck in the fight with the two Mercs, and the two Ferraris are just like also entwined in this fight, and they really don't have anywhere to go, as Leclerc is the best shout out for Ferrari right now. He goes past Russell, and I let Leclerc go because he's on fresher tires. There's no point in fighting Charles, as we are just sitting pretty behind Russell. But now we are going to have a double toe and a helping of DRS as well. And will we have the overspeed to get ahead of Leclerc into T1? Oh my goodness, I should have backed out of that. We forced Leclerc... Excuse that was a cough. We forced Leclerc slightly wide, and now Russell is even trying to get back ahead of him. But I think that was a bit of a doo-doo move. I understand I had the overspeed, but I should have let Leclerc go. Here comes Alonso. Him and Leclerc are fighting for this podium here. Alonso to the outside as I let them go because there's no point in me getting myself entwined in this fight. This is not my fight just yet. Here we go. Alonso, beautiful exit coming out of the hairpin, heading into the final corner. We dive towards the pit lane for our second and final stop. But now Alonso has got no DRS and Leclerc has DRS. Up the inside goes the Monegasque, and the winner of the Bahrain Grand Prix goes into P3. Him and Alonso, that must be a fun battle inside the cockpit for those two men. But here we go, guys. Off of the hards, onto the mediums. Actually, RB actually don't mess up our pit stop this time. And I just wonder what the difference would have been if we weren't. Actually, if we didn't have that mistake in the first pit stop. But you never know. We are all talking in hypotheticals. As you guys see, I come out right behind the Alpine of PA Gasly. And guys, excuse the jump in the recordings there. You guys know sometimes on PlayStation goes a bit wonky. We get ahead of Gasly and Hulkenberg just coming out of the pit lane as these guys' tires are crying out for mercy. And there is still 9 laps to go. More than 9 laps, actually. We sweep around the outside of Guan Yu Zhou there to the inside for the next corner as Charles Leclerc, the winner of Bahrain, retires from the Grand Prix with an engine failure similar to that of Max in the sprint race. And that must be heartbreaking for Leclerc. That gives Fernando Alonso an open goal for the podium here. If the McLaren of Oscar Piastri can't do anything, Alonso is a shoo-in for P3 in this race. You guys can see here, we've got DRS, we achieve our objective, and we make Logan Sargent look like he's searching for parking as we are up into P14, now chasing down Yuki Tsunoda. And they are entwined in a battle with the wounded car of Carlos Sainz. And you guys can see by end lap 21, we've already caught up to the back of them. And Valtteri Bottas is doing a solid job for Kick Sauber. He's actually in the points, but if it's up to us, we are going to take him out of the points as Sainz just has a massive lockup heading into the hairpin. Opens the door not just for myself, but for Tsunoda as well. And Sainz is struggling so much. We jump on board with us again as we look at the P3 man from the sprint race, Alex Albon. We go to the inside. Ooh, Alex is very harsh on defense there as we have a slight bit of a coming together there. Both cars twitching under braking. That was a bit of a heart in throat moment. But here we go. Now it's Bottas. He's now down to P10. He was up into P9 thanks to other people pitting ahead. But he's now back down to P10. And will he actually stay in P10? That is the question, but he's got a very fast Yuki Tsunoda and Alex Albon coming from behind. You guys see now, there's Esteban Ocon just going out of your shots, and then it's Hamilton and Lance Stroll battling, both with wounded cars. And in the cockpit at this stage, I did not know this. I thought, oh, holy crap, I'm fast. I'm catching an Aston and a Mercedes. But I didn't know they had wing damage. And these two guys are battling so fiercely with out front wings that they make my job an absolute breeze. It's a double overtake on the home straight into turn 1, and that is P7, already 2 positions better than in Bahrain. And guys, look, this was a beautiful overtake. Hamilton forces Stroll wide. He compromises himself. We have the DRS coupled with a perfect final corner exit, and we get ourselves up into P7. But guys, all that excitement and all that action is almost coming to a close. Sergio Perez leads onto the final lap of the Chinese Grand Prix, 3 seconds ahead of his teammate Verstappen. Verstappen could do nothing about Perez on his fresher tires, and Perez just kept control of the race. Alonso in a solid P3 in a world of his own, not under pressure and not able to chase the Red Bulls. Norris P4, Piastri P5. I don't know where Norris got ahead of Piastri, but kudos to Lando Norris. And as we head on to the final lap, guys, it's only now where I have caught Esteban Ocon. And just like in the previous race in Bahrain, Ocon is one of the drivers we're chasing for a position. And I think Ocon is already only 2 rounds in getting sick of the look of this RB in his mirrors. But here we go, guys. You guys can see it's the final lap. We've got nothing to lose. And, okay, well, we do have P7 to lose, but I had so much more grip than Ocon. I was just biding my time, waiting for the back straight, because there's no point in pushing like a stabbed rat. And Esteban Ocon, just like, you know, me making a mistake and taking us both out, or just myself. But you guys can see here, look at the brake zones. I just close up to Ocon like it's as if he's driving on intermediate tires on a dry track, overheated intermediate. He just doesn't have grip. He doesn't have the grip to put the power down. And this is when I knew P6 is in the bag. Keep it calm. Don't do anything stupid. Just stay close to this Alpine. As Sergio Perez is going to have a very, very easy win, thanks to us, actually, for this race. Perez takes the win, Verstappen P2, and Alonso completes the podium. But guys, look at that. Save the battery. Easy move on Esteban Ocon up into P6. And guys, this is going to be a weekend that we can write books about. I understand there's a quali bug, but besides that, the racing, the incidents, everything of this weekend was perfect. And back on the calendar, China delivers as always, P6 in the Grand Prix.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
There'll be smiles at the factory after that one. A great race and a real team performance to take victory here in Shanghai.
Well, it all came good in the end for them, but it wasn't an easy start. Not the most straightforward of days, but I think it shows great strength in an athlete as a driver when you can overcome a day like this and walk away still with a victory.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
Delighted, I think everybody can be. Guys, if you've made it to this part of the episode, I don't know what else is going to earn your like, because it was, as soon as we loaded into sprint quali, it was action from the word go until the checkered flag now at the end of Sunday. I mean, Fernando Alonso back on the podium. It always makes you feel good. Double Red Bull podium in a race where Verstappen couldn't close in on Perez. That is an interesting thing to keep thought of. We get the fastest lap of the race, so we get a bonus point as well. And guys, this P6 in the main race is bigger than the quali sprint race. I don't care what you say. I don't care how you think about it. This is bigger because it's more points and it's a better performance because it's throughout the entirety of the race. And honestly, guys, there is so much to talk about now, but we've got limited time, so I'm going to try and squeeze in everything as you guys check out what's going on the screen. Also, while I try to talk about what's on the screen, let's do that now quickly. The two Red Bulls are tied for the championship lead, the Drivers' Championship lead, with Leclerc and Piastri, and also Alonso, not very far behind. And guys, Alonso looks so damn fast. Alonso is operating on a different level. I don't know how we're going to catch Aston Martin by the end of the season. I think we should shift that goal towards whichever team is fifth. We need to try and be close to them by the end of the season. Constructors-wise, we are ahead of Mercedes. How? I don't know. I don't think we're going to stay there for long, but I'm still proud of this. I'm going to remember this by the end of the season. And then Red Bull are 30 points ahead of Ferrari. Then it's McLaren P3 and Aston P4. But, I mean, it's only race 2 of 16. There's still a lot that can happen in this championship. But I quickly want to talk to my OGs of the channel. For those of you guys that were here in the F1 2018 and 2019 and even 2020 days, I always had a thing. When we raced at China, for some other reason, I had an absolutely crazy, beyond crazy race. And now that the track is back on the main calendar again, we've got an absolutely incredible race back at China. I absolutely adore this track. It always provides insane action, and it's such a fun track to drive. I love the Shanghai International Circuit, and definitely coming back here for Season 2. Might even be the season opener. You never know. I'll see how I feel by the end of the season, which is not going to be too far away, just so by the way, because I'm going to be grinding this content like you guys would not believe. But, I mean, this race, pole for sprint qualifying. Let's just quickly for a few seconds forget about the quali bug. Pole in sprint quali, winning the sprint race which had insane and crazy action. How I defended from Verstappen, Alonso, Leclerc for so long, even though 10 laps, but remember what I said, 10 laps felt like 100. I don't know how I defended from them. Winning after Alonso's mistake with a double RB podium, a 1-2 podium, main qualifying, pole position again, lost out at the start, but even when I thought, oh damn, I'm not getting anywhere closer. I'm done, I'm not getting points. I kept up with a Mercedes, overtook a Mercedes on pure pace, and then managed to secure P6 on a very, very unorthodox two-stop strategy. I don't know how we got this race weekend. Was just utterly insane. So honestly, this video deserves likes. It deserves a lot of them. But guys, here's the other thing that I also saw that's new in the game. Like, you can compare your ratings towards other drivers. And you guys remember, I aimed for an average of 75 rated by the end of the season. And now that I look at that, we might need to aim higher. We might need to aim for that 80, because I would like to be rated higher than Guan Yu Zhou by the end of the season. Nothing against Guan Yu Zhou, but if these performances keep happening, we're gonna surpass that. Our goal is still 75 rated, but I mean, it would be kind of nice if we are like on Yuki's heels, and he's rated 80. It would be so nice if we are like on Yuki's heels come that part of the season. Well, come the end of the season. I would love that. But again, guys, from start to finish throughout this video, it was action, and it was good action. I mean, Max Verstappen DNF'd out of the sprint. Charles Leclerc DNF'd out of the main race. There was a big accident. Well, not a big accident, but a big mistake-filled moment in the sprint. And it was just battle after battle after battle all throughout the grid in the main race. China just always provides, and I absolutely adore to race this track on the F1 games. It's just always a good race. Always, always, always. I've never had a boring race on this track, whether it's been a league race, a career mode, or just playing in F1 World or in the older games quick play. Always absolutely action stacked, and I loved it. I loved it. But guys, with that honestly being said, I hope you guys are as excited for me. As excited with me for this new career mode series. I haven't been this excited to play an F1 game honestly since F1 2020, and I didn't even do a big career mode on F1 2020. The last big career mode I did was F1 2019, and I'm gonna be open with you guys. The reason that has happened is because I've lost interest in the career modes like literally within a season. F1 2019 and F1 2018 and F1 2019 had me so hooked, and this is the first game since F1 2019 that's where the career mode, the driver career mode, has had me this hooked, and I am so excited, guys. I really remember F1 2019. We had 3 seasons, and the second and third season I still rate as the best series on my channel by far. The action, the racing. My video editing and my mic skills were still pretty poor, but the videos spoke for themselves, and I feel we're gonna have something in that regard on this. And another thing I want to say, with the new way the driver career mode is happening, there's no need for me to stay with a team until I win a drivers and or a constructors championship. If my senior team like Red Bull or any other team on the grid puts the money and the resources on the table and be like, you know, you can be a world champion with us or help us become world champions and we will look after you, I might just jump ship. You never know. There's a new dynamic in driver career mode, and I'm here for it. Let's go for gold and see. Let's now focus just on us as a driver for the time being. I am so excited, guys. Make sure you are subscribed and that bell is so that you don't miss a future video, short, or live stream here on Turbo Fox Races. But especially this series running, as well as building the ultimate track toy, you are going to be very, very sad that you were not here like everybody else if you miss out, because it's gonna get absolutely crazy. Guys, my excitement is through the roof, and I'm gonna ask you guys one last time, because I truly believe and feel this video deserves a like. Make sure to go check out the links in the description down below for my social medias, as well as the other content page where this content will be posted as well, if you prefer to get this type of content on other social media platforms. And also, guys, it is going to be a wonderful 2024. I don't know why, I just feel it. And we are getting very close to that 500 subscriber count. So let's keep the grind going. Share this video with your friends, and you know, if you share it on social media, tag me in the post or the story, and I will definitely give you a shout out. Guys, you guys have been amazing. Strap in. It's going to be a very fun, maybe a long, but a very fun ride as we keep going for this year on Turbo Fox Races. Stay tuned. I'll see you guys next time. Remember, your mind is to be stronger than your feelings. Love ya. Cheers!